Hey there, thanks for watching. On this video, we're going to be going into detail about leverage and arbitrage. So if it sounds like I just started speaking a different language, hang tight, hang in there. We'll go over what these things mean, and I think that you'll be amazed at how these principles work and how they can benefit our financial life when we apply them. And when you don't apply them, when you don't understand how they work, then it's not typically going to be the end of the world, but more often than not, you're just going to miss out on some of the opportunities that you may have available if you don't understand these principles of leverage and arbitrage. So let's first off talk about what do we mean by leverage. So leverage is when you can utilize someone or something else, you can utilize their resources, and oftentimes when we think about this, it's a loan would be categorized as leverage, right? So if I have an under or unutilized vehicle, so for example, when I started my business, I needed some capital to help run my business. And I had a truck that was completely paid off, and I tried to get a business loan, and since my business entity was brand new, they wouldn't allow me to loan on that. So what I ended up doing is I ended up leveraging my truck, saying, hey, I've got collateral here, I'm gonna leverage my truck for this cash, right? So it's utilizing somebody else's resource for your benefit. Arbitrage is simply making a profit. That's probably the easiest way to think about it, is by making a profit, a positive arbitrage on leverage or on another financial type of transaction. So let's talk about how this may relate and why a permanent life insurance policy can be so impactful and so powerful in building wealth. It's because we play off these two principles of leverage and arbitrage. So let's start talking about how this works, okay? Let's say that you've got $100,000. Let's say you have $100,000 of cash value, which I'll abbreviate as CV. So you have $100,000 of cash value inside a permanent life insurance policy. And let's say that you need to utilize some of that money. You've done a great job at accumulating this and building that. And let's say that you need to access some of this money. Let's say that you need to pull out $50,000. So we're going to subtract out $50,000 from this. So what are you left with? Well, you are left with $50,000 of cash value. So now you have a $50,000 balance if you were to just take a withdrawal, which you can do in the right type of life insurance contract and agreement. You can just take a withdrawal of your money. Sometimes there's a transaction fee. Usually it's pretty nominal, like 25 or 50 bucks, but you can just take that money out as a loan. But let's talk about how interest and how arbitrage works, okay? So if you would have just left this money alone, let's say that this money was growing at 10%, which is actually not all that unconceivable. Over the past 3 quarters, I know that my money that I have growing inside my life insurance policy has been growing over the past 3 quarters at like 9.3, and one was like 9.7. So we're just going to round up to 10% to help make that math easy. So that in this year that we've got $100,000 in here, if I'm getting 10% on my money, that's a total of 10,000 bucks, right? 10,000 of growth. So 10K here. Now, if I take a withdrawal, now I have 50,000. So how much interest, if I'm still at that 10% growth, what am I earning there? Well, 5,000. So my interest income or my growth just literally got cut in half. So wouldn't it be nice if you could leave this money alone and still let it be growing principal and still have access to this $50,000? That's the beautiful thing about a life insurance contract when it's structured correctly, is you can do that. There's not really very many other financial products where you have the same type of flexibility of being able to take this money out via a loan. And it's a real loan. It's something where it does typically have an interest rate. There's some really cool situations where it may not have an interest rate, and we can talk more about that in other videos. But you can borrow against this policy as a loan, and it's a real deal loan. But the really cool part is that you can pay back the loan with your own dollars if you want or not, because you've got a life insurance contract that's backing up that money. And so if you choose not to pay back the loan, it's not the end of the world. The life insurance company, rather than paying out the full death benefit, they're just going to subtract out the $50,000 plus the interest that you owed on the loan. So they're just going to take that out of the death benefit if you die with an outstanding loan. Not the end of the world. And there's all kinds of protections built into the right type of life insurance contract that allows you to protect and understand that you're not going to be able to like accidentally borrow too much money from the policy, that when you have an agent who knows what they're doing and you can structure a policy properly, you're never going to put yourself into trouble where you're going to have like owed all this money, you know, when you pass away. When the policy is structured correctly, that's never going to happen. So let's talk about what that scenario would look like if you take out that money via a loan, and let's talk about the costs of doing that. So let's say that you take out this $50,000 as a loan instead. So you're going to pay an interest. Let's say the interest rate is 3.75%. It's kind of a typical rate for right now. So $50,000 times 0.0375. So that means that in interest, you are going to pay $1,875 in interest. So now the people who are in the camp of saying you should never go into debt, you should never take a loan, you should always pay cash for everything, they're going to lead you astray on this point because they don't understand the principles of using money in terms of leverage and of arbitrage. So if you can access this money and it's going to cost you $1,875, but if your money is still earning $10,000, right? So the difference there, I never trust myself with simple math. So your net return would be $8,125 that you're getting on that. So would you be better off to take a loan, or excuse me, to just withdraw that money and only earn $5,000 worth of interest, or would you be better off to take a loan on that money and be able to still reap this amount right here? Which dollar figure is greater? So by using the principles of leverage and of arbitrage, yeah, it's costing you 3.75, but you're making 10, so you shouldn't really care in that sense. Now, it's not always going to make sense to do a loan, but in most cases, especially when a policy is performing and structured correctly, it's going to make more sense to take a loan out and be able to take advantage of the principles of leverage and arbitrage. So hopefully that makes sense. This video has been an eye-opening thing. Once I understood these concepts, I was like, holy smokes, this is pretty darn impressive. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll catch you on the next video.